Hello everyone, welcome back to RetroComms. As you can see in front of me are a lot of Samsung devices. This is my entire collection of working Samsungs, well, minus the one I'm filming off of, and I have included two that are not in working order, but we'll get to those near the end. They are pretty important. Figure you will want to see those. I've tried to look up some of these model numbers. I can't promise I'll remember them all, but we'll see how much I do know. And I will try to move through this one a bit more quickly and efficiently. I don't want to produce another 40-minute long video like I did last time, so let's just get right into it, starting up at the top row. Alright, we'll start up here in just a second, but just note these boxes here. I've got an A107 in here. This is the box to my S5, and that's the box to my Samsung Galaxy S7. Here we have, I believe these are the E1080. Don't quote me on this. Again, I'm still a little bit shaky on these. It's hard for me to differentiate between these and these S125Gs. I always get these two mixed up. Here's another A107, little clamshell. Very entry-level device, not the most interesting handset I have here in front of me by any stretch. Here's this one. It's a nice, thin, compact little device, still has its external antenna. Looks very similar in design to this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the same model number. I didn't think to look beforehand. This one sadly does have a crack right there. Its little hinge mechanism is visible. You can see that in this one that is not present. This one sustained some damage. Here's this older Samsung. Still works, but has definitely seen some things, especially here on this battery cover, and any decorative or accenting piece here on this front panel has been scratched beyond recognition. Can't remember this one's model number either, but this one is in pretty good shape. It's on Verizon. Got the little Samsung proprietary charger port down there, and the little terminals for if it were to sit in a charging cradle. Still has the Verizon sticker. Hope that battery pack is not trying to puff up on me there. Sadly, it looks to be almost like it is. Hopefully not. This device has seen a little bit of wear, but overall in decent condition. Still got its extendable antenna. Still looks pretty good. Next in line we have the U340 on Autel. Seems to be kind of an entry-level camera phone. Not too many signs of wear on this one. This one was very well taken care of. Next to it we have the R340. I guess similar to that U340 there. Very sleek design, very round corners. Also a little rubber keypad. Battery cover wanted to slide right off there. In pretty good condition overall. Got two A167s on AT&T. Both very gently used, not showing too much wear. Have a look at this other one real quick, just to show. This one seems to have gotten a little bit more use. Moving down the line. I believe this is the T245G. Don't let 5G being in its model number confuse you. This is an entry-level Tracfone device, likely 3G. 4G may have been out at the time, but I doubt it. Very basic little phone here. Here's this next one, the A117. Very compact little phone. No camera on this one. Another entry-level device on AT&T. This one looks kind of similar to it, but this one has a camera. Still nice and compact. We start seeing the micro USBs there. These are all in pretty good shape, minus a couple scratches on the screen so far. Moving on down the road, we've got 3 of these. Can't remember what they're called. This one's nice. It still has its protective film, although it's trying to come off a little bit. But in great shape. Soft touch isn't degrading on it. It's a Verizon handset. I'll flip open the next ones just to see. That one also still has its screen film. This one does not, but still in pretty good shape. On to this next one. Can't remember what this is. Might be part of the Gusto line, but I think that one down there, right here, is the Gusto. I can't remember with these entry-level Samsungs. It gets kind of hard for me to keep these straight. There's this one. Seen a little bit of use. Not bad. Camera's having a hard time focusing on some of these. We see another proprietary port. This is actually the most common proprietary Samsung port that there was. Moving down the line. We have another one of these, exact same model as this one. You can kind of see some similar design language to this blue A117 here, except this one's on Verizon, that one was on AT&T, but you can tell that they are very similar to one another if we compare them. This one's a touch thicker, I do believe, this AT&T one, but very similar in design. And this one's in pretty good shape. I believe this is a Samsung Gusto. Got a slight texture on its front. Let me adjust a bit. Got a slight texture on its front. There's little speakers there. Very round device. Few scuffs and scratches on the screen. There's this one. It's a little light. Do I not have its battery installed? Well, that's definitely why it's light, and you can see its model number here. Let me put its battery cover back on. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Yes, I can. That was very easy. Here's another. No camera, nice large buttons, either entry-level or designed for older users. And we'll see a little bit more of that kind of thing as we go further in. I believe I've got a Jitterbug amongst this pile. Starting the second row off here, we have this tiny A127. Sadly, I don't have my tape measure with me. Wish I had an actual ruler, because I hate using objects as scale. But here's its big sister, the E716, for comparison. As you can see, this thing is tiny. And just a quick word of warning, full disclosure, I had tried to film this part once, but I touched this E716 and degradation from some of this little rubber padding around the phone got all over me. It was about the consistency of somewhere between toothpaste and thermal paste. I had to clean it off, exposing this little copper piece here. So watch out if you have this model, because this piece up here can degrade and make a huge mess. Fortunately, the one here, if it has rubber there, has not degraded. I can't really tell. But this one has not suffered such degradation, but do be mindful on this series of device. If anybody knows how to prevent that, please do let me know. This is a growing problem for me, as you'll see with another device down the line. But continuing on, here we have this X497. This one, a little story behind it. This one belonged to my great-grandmother, who sadly left the land of the living earlier this year. I have been entrusted with one of her old handsets. Most devices in my collection get factory reset, get all the pictures, contacts, etc. wiped. This one, since it belongs to her, will remain as she left it. I'm honored to have something that once belonged to her and will keep it exactly as she left it to preserve her memory. With that, we will move on to the A920. This is a more media-focused handset. You see by the media keys up front, two speakers firing off the sides, little camera there. It's a very, very thick device here to pack in all that extra, to pack in those extra speakers there. I will have to power this up at some point, go through its ringtones, test its audio quality to see if it lives up to the marketing that was put towards it. Next is this Samsung Jitterbug, a device that was marketed towards senior citizens. I believe the model is R920. It's got some basic buttons here. Very large buttons, easy to read. I'm sure the font on the display was larger as well, with a tamed down UI that made it easier for older users to operate. This would have been perfect for an older person still living independently to be able to have quick access to emergency help should they have needed it. That is one of the great things about mobile phones, is that in the event that something catastrophic does happen, in an ideal circumstance, it would be right there available, ready to make a call. And with this, an older user could make those types of calls with ease and, most importantly, as quickly as possible in the event of those types of situations. Moving on down, the Samsung Haven. Flipping it open, it also has nice large buttons. Dedicated emergency key. Makes me think that this one was also intended for an older audience. No camera, very entry-level device, but still pretty good quality, in very good condition. Moving down the line. Here we have two E490s. This one I am not going to touch. It is absolutely coated with degraded soft touch. Didn't even want to sit it on my rug, but fortunately this surface, it doesn't stick to quite as bad, but we will go through this one. It was built to kind of mimic the Motorola RAZR, as you can see by its thin form factor, its curved chin down here. Or at least I think that's what Samsung was going for here, to kind of capitalize on the popularity of that design language, of that thin, sleek form that those RAZRs had. And they did have one thing that the V3 series did not. They had interchangeable custom faceplates. I eventually need to find new faceplates for this one that's plagued by the soft touch issue and get it some more standard red or maybe a blue one. I have another front faceplate, but I'm lacking the battery cover. If I can find a blue battery cover to match the other faceplate that I have, I'm most likely going to equip this phone with those. That way I can get rid of that nasty soft touch. Moving right along, mercy sakes alive, looks like we got us a Convoy of Samsung Convoys. The rugged design on these made them very popular for use in high-demand environments such as heavy industry or just for users who were a bit clumsier. But we have 4 different versions here. The Convoy 1, 2, Convoy 3, all the way down here at the end, and 4. Each with very ruggedized frames here, very robust designs. I bet these things could hold up to just about anything users in those demanding lines of work or demanding use cases could throw at them. Those are very well-built handsets. And as we can see with this first one that I had picked up, now they are not immune to damage, just as anything else. They can get scuffed and dinged. And this one has seen a fair amount of use. I'll look along the line here, open up their screens. Almost every one of these suffers from a little bit of button wear, a few scuffs on the battery covers. But in general, they are still structurally sound. I've only encountered one of these that did not work. But even then, perhaps it worked too well. It would power itself back on anytime it was given a battery. Got my little piece of protective foam in that one I forgot to take out to try to prevent it from getting the button wear like the other ones got. We'll move along. And we can see that this one's a little bit thinner. It's not quite as bulky, but still very rugged. I'll just flip open the screens. This one has another piece of foam, but it's still got keypad wear. That one's in pretty good shape. I guess it did not have as hard of a life as the rest of them. More foam. Gotta protect that screen. And I left another piece of foam in that one as well. Down to the Convoy 3 here. I showed you this one already, but still in good shape. The last one, the end of the line, the Convoy 4, it's a bit thicker than the others, perhaps packing a slightly larger display, maybe a larger battery. I'll do a quick comparison of the screen sizes here. Again, I hate to use objects for scale, but there we have it. A slightly taller display, it looks like. But much chunkier bezels there, I guess, to protect that screen a little bit better. I am curious at the durability of these, but I'm sure enough of these were put through some pretty rigorous field tests, if you will. Now let's move down the line. This is the Samsung Alias II. I can get it open with one hand. This was a gift from Mr. E85, as he's known on YouTube, and what an excellent device. This keyboard, if you can kind of tell by looking at it, is meant to be used in both the traditional clamshell manner, and you can flip it open like this and use it in landscape mode. This is such a neat little device. Makes me wonder, if I had used one of these back in the day, would I have texted in portrait mode like with any other phone, or would I have been more inclined to flip out this screen and type in landscape mode? It is in near mint condition, as I hope it will stay here in my collection. And all in all, I cannot express how happy I am to have this little device. This is such a neat phone. Starting down here at the third row, we've got several that have this BlackBerry layout, if you will. A little candy bar form factor with a full QWERTY keyboard. And I believe these are the A177s. Here's another. Next in line, I believe this is the 5380C. And I can't show you its back because it's got a little note with someone's address taped to it. I'd rather not have any personal information leaking on this channel, so it is in good condition though. Next in line, what looks like 3 of these R350s. Pretty nice little design there. This one is in a case, and unlike these, it is on Metro PCS. These two are on Tracfone. Next in line, we have the 5390G, I believe. It's kind of hard for me to keep all these straight, so please do forgive me if I got some of these model numbers mixed up. Next is the Samsung Reclaim. This one was marketed to be an environmentally friendly phone. It's very light, got a little scuffing or tape stuck to the back there. Even with the environmental theme in mind, it's still a pretty solid design. It doesn't feel light, it doesn't feel cheap. Feels like a typical Samsung slider of the era. Keyboard's just a touch mushy, but that's what you expect from these rubberized keypads. Next, we have the Samsung Gloss on US Cellular. Something about these more square flip phones that contain a full QWERTY keyboard instead of the traditional number pad. I like this design a lot. Reminiscent of the BlackBerry style, the LG Lotus. To me, this is a much more elegant and efficient solution than having one of these. This just gives it just something about these more square flip phones. This was another gift from Mr. E85, as he is known. And I had been looking for one of these, or the device, or a model near identical to it, the Samsung Clio, which they might even be more or less the same. Let me know down in the comments if you got any information there. But this is a very interesting little device, and I am delighted to have it in my collection. Next, I believe all 3 of these are Samsung Intensities on Verizon. This one is a lovely shade of blue. Like the slide on it, nice full keyboard. I do enjoy these landscape sliders as well. Very convenient that it has a traditional keypad in the front, just in case you prefer texting the old-fashioned way, or just for a quick response. But then if there's something more intense, as the name may suggest, you pull out the full QWERTY and go to work. The rest are just the normal shade of black, which is still a nice color for these as well. Just showing the condition a little bit here. All of these are in pretty good shape. A couple of scuffs as it goes with these used phones. Here we have the Samsung Trender on Sprint. That slide mechanism is a little bit rough. You can just kind of hear it. Oof. I might need to figure out how I can mitigate that. As much as I love sliders, I do not know what the best solution would be to fix that tough sliding there. I'm not going to keep sliding that. That feels horrible. Moving on, we have this Samsung Mystic. In pretty good shape. Here's a Samsung Solstice. Right next to it, the Solstice 2. I kind of thought before looking into these two that they might be in the same series. The effect on that battery cover, it's almost red or purple. The other one is just straight black, but this one is almost purple. As you can kind of tell by looking at this purple Samsung Galaxy S3. This is a lovely shade of purple. Sadly, this lighting and this phone camera do not do it any justice. Still has a screen protector on it. in great shape here. Moving on, we have an S4 Mini. Probably should have cleaned this off a little bit better first. I keep it in its little folio case. Home button's a bit scuffed, but it still works. No major scratches, no cracks on the screen, nothing like that. Next we have this one. I believe it is some version of the Rugby. It is a very robust device here. It's running, I believe, the same version of Android as the S4, probably released around that same time period, but perhaps a little bit before this next handset, which is the Samsung Galaxy S5. More specifically, my Samsung Galaxy S5 that I daily drove for about 4 years, a little bit under. It was my daily from Christmas of 2014 on up to around November of 2018 when I got this S8 Active, excluding the time that I used the S7, which was only for about a month, and hence why the S7 is up here among the dead. I foolishly replaced the screen, but not the mid-frame. If you are going to work on one of these Galaxies, screen and mid-frame, because this was such a nice phone. I gave it a transparent back. Feels very good in the hand, but sadly, the screen cracked internally. It started to bleed, if you will, leaving these purple spots all over. And within 12 hours, it was solid black. That is why I use SD cards. It would not have been pretty trying to get all my files off of that in a limited time window. I noticed the crack right around midnight, right before I had an 8 a.m. class. Those were not good times. Maybe one day I will put a new screen on this phone and restore it to its former glory. Next to it is the Samsung Juke, which this one did not die a tragic death like the S7. More so, I can't get it to boot up. I can at least get it to display the Verizon logo, but it will not hold a charge and it will not boot. Does it just need a new battery? Does it have some deep-seated issue that needs to be resolved? I'm not certain. Regardless, I think I need to get it a new battery anyway. Someone has scratched hello into the back cover, which is also the battery itself. This has the battery pack. But I would love to restore this device. This is such a neat little phone. And of course, the last Samsung in my collection is my S8 Active, which I'm filming this video off of as we speak. I'll throw a couple pictures of it up here. I keep it in this nice unicorn beetle case, typically carrying it on a belt clip because my pockets are too small to hold it. I got this one November of 2018, the reason I got away from this S5. And it has served me well since then. Not quite sure what my next main will be, but if it is another Samsung, we know they have made quite their share of devices and have a good track record in the cellular industry. Let me back away one more time just to show you all the full scope of my collection of Samsungs once again. And with that, RetroComs signing off.